There are many people in the world who really don't understand. Freedom has many difficulties, but we have never had to put a wall up to keep our people in.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Leo Zagami Show with Leo and Christy. Here we are today, guys. We have a really special show for you, a show which will discuss the crazy immigration policies, the Jesuit immigration policies that have reached new levels of insanity here in California. And of course, we will also be discussing all the news of the week, which includes, of course, a great controversy regarding Jeffrey Epstein, which is dividing the MAGA movement. But at the same time, guys, we have such an important topic, and we are broadcasting right here from where it's all happening, Southern California. So let's hurry up and start this show. Christy, who are the sponsors of today?
Daniel Estes and Malgrizada Minsa, and everybody that bought the book this week. Thank you very much.
Yes, guys, because when it comes down to the Jesuit immigration policies, this is the book you need to get right here, right now. It's History, Secret Societies, and the Politics of the Jesuit New World Order and their Luciferian Court, a bestseller. You find it on Amazon. Leo, Lion Zagami, the last installment of my Confession series, which discusses and explains the whole Jesuit thing in detail. So this is what we're going to be focusing today, especially because a bishop here in San Bernardino has even gone as far as giving the possibility of an exemption from Sunday Mass, which, as you know, it's an obligation for all Catholics. So here we need to really focus on what they're doing, because it's literally insane what is happening. Mayor Bass, this Marxist who now wants to even give money to the illegal immigrants who get persecuted by ICE, has yesterday finally revealed in a way that, of course, is known to those who read my books, who is behind the whole thing during a press conference. Because we often talk about sanctuary cities, but we don't really know where this term comes from, guys. You don't know it. You simply don't know the etymology, the origins of it. And it originates from Father Luis Olivares, who was a Catholic priest who was closely connected with the Jesuits, in particular through his work with the sanctuary movement at the Proyecto Pastoral in Los Angeles. He collaborated with Jesuits, which we have even seen, like Greg Boyle in the streets of Los Angeles, and we showed on our show not so long ago, and Michael Kennedy, who were also involved in supporting Central American refugees and so-called marginalized communities. So the term sanctuary city originates from the sanctuary movement of the 1980s, instigated by the Jesuits. And this is why you need to absolutely check out right now at the start of the show what the mayor of LA said yesterday, because it really makes us understand a lot of things. And of course, we will be analyzing many other things of this insane immigration policy, which justifies minors working in marijuana fields. I mean, this is really Jesuit insanity. So welcome to the Leo Zagami Show with Leo and Christy.
Fortunately shares a stark parallel to what we're seeing today. In 1931, our plaza here was the site of the forced repatriation of U.S. citizens of Mexican heritage, where raids occurred on unsuspecting visitors to Olvera Street. It's a sad history, but a powerful reminder of what we're facing today. The fear and trauma of so many back then has once again been awakened across our city. But there's also another history, one rooted in hope, unity, and solidarity. Here was where in the 1980s, Father Luis Olivares of the iconic Placita Church, just across the street, initiated the sanctuary movement, declaring the Placita as a sanctuary and safe space for all immigrants and refugees. And myself, as a child of immigrants, I recall those days as an LA kid. I will never forget the news coverage of our own Mayor Tom Bradley standing side by side in solidarity with the sanctuary movement. And so today, I want to thank our Mayor Karen Bass for being here at El Pueblo, continuing that tradition of leadership and resilience. Here at the very heart of Los Angeles, we're here to support you in all efforts to protect our immigrant communities. Thank you, Mayor Bass.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for recalling that tradition. You were a young child, I wasn't, but I remember Father Olivares very well.
So here, guys, we are literally going inside the Jesuit backing of this whole plot, which is unleashing leftist policies on Southern California and the whole of California. Because let's not forget, the other great critic of Donald J. Trump is another fruit of the Jesuits. I'm talking about Governor Gavin Newsom. So what we are really explaining to you today is really going to the root of the problem, because I repeat, many people talk about sanctuary cities, the leftist in California, but who inspired them? Guys, that's why you need to get volume 12 of my Confessions. Here, I explain it very clearly. And of course, people might focus on Epstein, this, that, and all the other. And today, I'm going to show you actually the list of the Black Book of Jeffrey Epstein, which has been now redacted, and I have in its original copy. But guys, let's not forget that the alternative to Donald J. Trump was Kamala Harris, just so you know. I mean, we would have ended up with the kind of censorship we had during the Joe Biden era, where we had 17 channels removed from YouTube, where we were persecuted for what we were actually saying. And 10 million immigrants pushed by Catholic NGOs. And this week, I wrote a series of important articles, which you can go and check out on leozagami.com. I'm going to show you one of these articles in particular because it involves a Jesuit heresy in the rising here with the two Catholic dioceses, one also outside of California in Nashville, that is giving immigrants the possibility to skip Mass over the fact that they will be raided because they are illegal immigrants. And I always told you the Catholic Church and the Jesuits are the ones behind this whole thing.
You were saying that all along.
So here, Casey, you can cite, in fact, my article and, of course, from my article, my own book.
As I wrote in Confessions of an Illuminati, Volume 12, History, Secret Societies, and the Politics of the Jesuit New World Order and their Luciferian Court, President Trump and his second presidency are particularly relevant to the Jesuits in the field of so-called immigration reform. That was and still is, unfortunately, in the eyes of Loyola's followers, a code for the Jesuit Catholic Church's leftist agenda to endlessly flood the United States with Roman Catholic illegal aliens from the South, trained by countries countless Jesuit institutions to demand socialism and communism from their host nation.
This reality is sadly unfolding as we speak all over the United States, but especially across Southern California, where Jesuit-controlled Governor Gavin Newsom and Los Angeles Marxist Mayor Karen Bass are repeatedly antagonizing Trump's decision and the lawful and justified action of the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement Service, which is ICE, against illegal immigration. Now, in an extraordinary move this week, Catholic Bishop Alberto Rojas of the Diocese of San Bernardino went as far as telling his diocese of about 1.2 million people that they could all stay home on Sunday to avoid Mass, as concerns about immigration raids have grown exponentially in the last few weeks amongst the mostly Catholic community of illegals working in the Jesuit-controlled state, which is California, this Jesuit-controlled state. Now, according to Catholic teachings, missing Mass on Sunday or a holiday of obligation without a serious reason is usually considered a mortal sin. So this is what is happening. And this is only one of the articles of this week, because I've also, and I show you here, published another couple of very interesting articles. One in particular regards, of course, once again, the Jesuits and the Jesuit Refugee Service, which was established by Padre Rupe, which is one of the protagonists of Volume 12, which is backing all these NGOs which have flooded us with the illegals. And now we have the US Bishop Conference openly waging war against Trump. For example, in July, Archbishop of Santa Fe, John Wester, said the bill's immigration provision, talking about the big, beautiful bill, are the most troubling since it endorses hard mass deportation, stripping immigrants of due process and disregarding the valuable contribution to our society. But there is also another thing. This week, as also we have seen reported in my articles, these two people met together. I'm sorry, but it seems like I can't show you the image very clearly. Vladimir Zelensky and Pope Leo, and they met for that green mass we have been talking about.
Yeah.
This green mass, which is happening in Castel Gandolfo, in the Gandolf Castle, there where the black masses also take place. And guys, this was pretty shocking, that the Vatican can create a mass based on a lie like climate change. And they do it to brainwash their own people, which are all aligned with the lies of the Jesuit order. People might have hoped that Pope Leo XIV was different from Pope Francis. No, it's worse. And what we have seen this week has proven it.
XIV ha ricevuto in udienza il
And
presidente
so Pope Leo XIV received in his summer residence Zelensky, the cokehead, to celebrate then the Green Mass, this monstrosity which was performed, as we announced, in the gardens, the beautiful gardens of Castel Gandolfo, which have, of course, also a very ancient pagan tradition, all the areas around there. And this monstrosity was performed for the first time in front of Zelensky and in front of the powerful people that gathered there, invited, in this mass, which basically picks up phrases from Laudato Si, the encyclical, mixed from various pieces extracted from the Gospels, in a monstrosity called the Green Mass, a climate change mass, a mass that talks about climate change, something that we would have never imagined the Vatican could come up with, but they came up with this monstrosity, guys. Watch it, it's in front of your eyes. And so this church is the same church that is also inviting its faithful to not go to Mass on Sunday to avoid to be arrested, because they are complicit. And they're stating it, they're saying it. Even the mayor of LA is saying it. When are you going to open your eyes?
That movement, and that movement continues today and is represented by the people who are standing here with me. So the organizations that are represented, and some you will hear speak today: CHIRLA, the Salvadorian American Leadership and Educational Fund, the Asian Pacific Islander Equity Alliance, Community Coalition, Inclusive Action, and SEIU USWW, continuing the tradition of solidarity in our city. I am here today to sign an executive directive, and I just want to point out the irony for a minute, that there is a need for me to have an executive directive to help our city understand how to protect itself from our federal government. Just let that sink in for a minute. What we have seen here over the last now going on 6 weeks of...
Let it sink in for a minute. You are a rebel. You are a Marxist rebel to the federal government, and I hope you get arrested, you and the governor of California, because these people are inevitably pushing California away from the United States of America. The experts this week have said that it's highly possible in the next 10 years California will break from the United States of America. This is happening because of people who basically live in San Francisco, San Diego, and in Los Angeles, not because of the majority of Californians who are Republicans, who are conservatives, who are people who, of course, cherish the true values of Christianity, not the monstrosity of the Green Mass or the justification that you can avoid going to Mass altogether because you are an illegal immigrant. This is insane. This is insane, guys. These people are justifying minors, 10 minors, at least 10 minors, maybe even more, were found in Southern California during this raid. They were so escaping from fields where they were cultivating marijuana, minors. So what does this mean? It means that if you are from one of these third world countries, from Mexico, Central America, South America, if you are basically a member of the Latin community, of the Hispanic community, you can get away with going to work and bringing to work your children, like those people are doing that you see in the video. Minors were found, and this is stuff of third world countries. This is not America. This is a monstrosity that needs to be avoided. I mean, you can't justify the fact that immigrants can bring their children to work in a marijuana plantation. Come on, guys. I mean, and that you have the support of the mayor of LA, the governor of California.
Illegal immigrants.
Illegal immigrants, by the way. Illegal, most of them illegal immigrants, of course. And some of these children or teenagers, let's say teenagers, are actually working to pay off the debt they have incurred in order to arrive here into the United States of America. Yeah. So this is insane what the mayor is doing.
That pop up and we never know exactly when and where they're going to happen. We've seen them in the general region. I'm sure many people saw Camarillo yesterday and what broke out there. We saw MacArthur Park earlier this week, which I think now, after all assessments, it is viewed as just a display of force, just to put the city in its place, to say we are the federal government, we can roll out troops whenever we choose. So the executive directive that I will be signing in a few minutes is to help the city family, to help the city workforce, to help the city departments and all of the general managers essentially develop preparedness plans that have specific protocols and that help city workers know how to address immigration officials should they approach a city department.
Fallout and a new protest tonight following the massive immigration raid on a marijuana farm in Camarillo. This coming as families desperately search for loved ones who were taken into custody. Eyewitness News reporter Tim Williams spoke with some of those family members.
What I'm trying to understand here is how these families can, or anybody, the governor, the mayor, can justify this kind of situation. The fact that you have 200 arrests, and among 200 arrests, according to the Department of Labor, the minimum age for agricultural employment is 14 outside of school hours and 12 with written parental consent. But these are also illegals. So in California, you must be at least 12 years old to be hired as a farm worker. But they're not even...
It's not really a farm, though. It's a pot farm.
It's a pot farm.
It's not a farm. I mean, they're putting farm, and farm is a farm, and a pot farm is a pot farm. So it's a marijuana field.
It's a marijuana field. And how is the Catholic Church justifying these kind of actions by these protesters?
And Laguna, and you now see the military vehicles advancing despite those protesters trying to make a stance and trying to stop the military vehicle from continuing on, and there's cameras rolling, cell phone cameras rolling, and this group of people are really trying to get this military vehicle to stop.
So they throw rockets at the vehicles, they do all kinds of things, but everything has to be tolerated, because if they are immigrants, even illegal, they can work with their minors, they can work without the documents, they can do all kinds of things. Now, guys, for most of our viewers who are watching us here from the United States of America, maybe, also the struggle to become American is something that they have never had to face. They were born here, so they were lucky enough to grow up as United States citizens. I was born in another country. I had to flee my country and the whole of the European Union, which is increasingly becoming oppressive and dictatorial, and it's against my own values, embracing everything I despise. Me and my wife had to flee Italy in 2019. She's American, but I was Italian. I had to come here and go through all the procedures, spending a lot of money, going through, finding the right lawyers, going through a case to then get awarded eventually a green card. And then last year, finally, I became naturalized as an American citizen. Well, it is something that you need to do. You need to regularize yourself. You can't wake up like I had the other day from an immigrant in Tijuana who said, I had to leave California because I didn't know I was actually illegal until I was 17 when I went to ask for a car license and I didn't know my social number. And then my parents suddenly said, we have to go back to Mexico. I mean, what kind of parents let a child grow from, apparently this guy, when he grew up here since he was 6 months old to 17, and then he didn't know he was an illegal?
Maybe he was lying.
No, it's not a question of lying. These people have no, because of the way California works, because the way California has tolerated these illegals for decades, they don't care. They don't want to spend $10,000, $20,000, go through all the procedures that eventually will grant you citizenship. They don't want to sacrifice themselves. But the thing also is paying taxes, because these people are illegals. They're not paying taxes.
Not paying taxes.
They're sending the money. They're actually giving the money to the cartels who brought them into this country, or they're sending money back to Mexico, to whatever hellhole they come from, Central or South America. And here is somebody who has his grandfather who was born in South America. I'm not talking as, I'm a pure gringo who is despising the people of Latin descent. You can hear it from my accent. I'm not, somebody 100% British. I'm half British, but I'm also half Italian and partly Spanish and Chilean. So, guys.
And you're a little bit Indian, too.
And I'm American Indian.
American Indian.
Absolutely. So
more than what's her name?
Yeah, more than Pocahontas.
More than Pocahontas.
More than Pocahontas. My percentage is more than 1%. Pocahontas was like 0.5%. Pocahontas, we're talking about Elizabeth Warren, for those who don't know. So, apart from the fact they have Native American Indian blood, which is also something interesting, because my family for 200 years lived in Chile. They married with the daughter of the governor of this island, which is known as the Robinson Crusoe Island. And for that reason, I have also this kind of blood.
Cool.
And I have relatives who are actually Indios in Chile. I mean, that's also. But the thing that I want to really say it's not about racism, it's about doing things properly. And what Governor Newsom and this hideous Mayor Bass, who visited 6 times Fidel Castro, are stating, in the way that Newsom now says, oh, the real scam is Trump. He calls me new scam, but he is the real scam. No, you are the real scam. And he's a product, of course, as I explained also on leozagami.com, but also in my book, of the Jesuits. Governor Newsom is a typical Jesuit product. The whole of the system here is a Jesuit product. And they know it. They know, because, this used to be, of course, part of Mexico. There was a war. We even gave money to them after the war was won. So we shouldn't have even given them money. And now they have the courage to use the Mexican flag in front of the federal authorities. That flag shouldn't be authorized. It's an enemy flag. We won the war. There was a war, guys. People sacrificed their life for that war. It was a bloody war. And eventually, we even paid them. Something like 15 million at the time was an enormous amount of money. So, Mayor Bass.
By the law, but we understand what our rights are as city.
You don't have any rights if you are an illegal. You have to regularize yourself. Then you have rights.
Employees, how we can provide protection for immigrants who might be attending a city event or at a city property, but we stay within the law. That we make sure that people that work with city contractors ensure that they are safe on city property. So you might have heard that a few days ago there were city contractors who were working, and ICE rolled up on them and asked for ID and was inappropriate. And so even people that contract with the city, we want them to understand what their rights are. We want each department to have an immigration affairs liaison, and we want each department that if they encounter any federal officials, that they contact the city, especially the mayor's office.
Basically, she is inviting people to not respect federal law. She's clearly stating that there is a way to oppose federal law. I mean, for what she's saying, Tom Homan should go and arrest this woman. And we were talking about Mexico. We're talking about a country that recently is not even capable of tolerating a few thousand immigrants that during the pandemic have decided to leave the United States and make a place like Mexico City and some of the best areas of Mexico City is like Roma and some of the areas there in center of Mexico City, the very nice areas, they're home. Now, watch here, gringo go home. And they're very violent, the Protestant, very violent against the Americans for what they call anti-gentrification. I understand that, of course, with a lot of Americans, their rents were brought up. So for the locals, it's difficult to then live in certain areas. But you can't open your mouth when you're flooding these countries with this country of America with millions of immigrants, and you have been doing it forever. And now you don't want Americans to go to Mexico? Jeez, guys, these people, they make me so angry. I mean, it's intolerable. It's absolutely intolerable what they're doing.
So we should all thank God that Trump is doing this to, help this country.
Absolutely.
The immigration policy and
absolutely.
These brave ICE men and the policemen also are, they're putting their lives on the line.
Yes, but when you have people which point guns like this guy did.
This video right here, it appears a protester fired some kind of gun at federal agents. This happened this afternoon. It was a really chaotic scene at the time. A lot of smoke was being launched at the protesters. And again, it appears a protester fired back with that weapon. It looks like he fired at least a couple of times. We have not heard about any agents being hurt.
And this is how it is. And of course, attacking a federal agent is absolutely intolerable. And the fact that these people like Bass or Newsom, they all have, like we said, there is a Jesuit, the Jesuits have created this idea of a sanctuary city, of a sanctuary, and nobody knows where the term comes from, but the term sanctuary city originates from the sanctuary movement of the 1980s, which, like I explained, was fomented by the Jesuits, a religious and a community-based response, they say, to the US government, denial of asylum to refugees, which at the time were fleeing civil wars, but they are not any longer any civil wars. One of the main people responsible was this guy who was a Jesuit agent, is no longer with us, Father Luis Oliveres. He was also cited by Mayor Bass. This guy is what the Catholic Church is today, a political institution, not a religion. When you have a bishop who is telling you not to go to Mass, it's like completely contrary to the faith. But please, Christy, read this description, this biography of the guy who gave birth to the term sanctuary city, Father Luis Oliveres.
This is the amazing untold story of the Los Angeles Sanctuary Movement's champion, Luis Oliveres, 1934 to 1993, a Catholic priest and a charismatic, faith-driven leader for social justice. Beginning in 1980 and continuing for most of the decade, hundreds of thousands of Salvadoran and Guatemalan refugees made the hazardous journey to the United States seeking asylum from political repression and violence in their home states.
But it's no longer the case. There is no longer in their home states any reason to leave their home states, and so there is no asylum for political repression. This today we see simply tourist, migrants, economic migrants.
Yeah,
Economic migrants who are basically economic migrants who come into this country because they want better opportunities. So if you want better opportunities, you need to do it legally. But please continue, Christy.
Instead of being welcomed by the country of immigrants, they were rebuffed by the Reagan administration, which supported the governments from which they fled. To counter this policy, a powerful sanctuary movement rose up to provide safe havens to churches and synagogues for thousands of Central American refugees.
So this was the very roots of what we call today sanctuary city. But nobody wants to talk about it. And Mayor Bass is a criminal.
Crook.
So that we can, number one, make account of this, but also make sure that all the city departments and city workers are informed on how to deal with this. We also want to disseminate information on city services and assistance programs for families that are impacted by federal enforcement actions.
Okay, so what does this? What kind of what she's providing to the illegal migrants? Check this out. LA will provide cash assistance to immigrants affected by raids. So while millions of Americans struggle to put a piece of bread on the table, to put together lunch and dinner, this scumbag is giving literally money away to illegal immigrants. It's insane, guys. Think about it.
We are submitting a FOIA, a Freedom of Information Act request regarding the dates and locations of all enforcement activities in Los Angeles. I think you heard me repeat every time.
So, I mean, they're giving the day, they're organizing their escape. What are they doing? I mean, they're providing them with an escape route.
This is unlawful. This is against what the president is doing. They can't do this. Can they? Can they do this?
This is absolutely
Isn't
insane.
it,
They are trying to use some kind of local state law statute to defend themselves. But in reality, guys, immigration is a federal matter.
Yay.
And these are illegal immigrants. So there is no way they can carry on with this kind of thing. And it's, of course, it enrages a lot of people who are watching us. But it's the Jesuits, like I explained in this book, and Pope Leo XIV who are behind all this. Now, news of this week, which is quite shocking to me, I've often cited in my articles, in my work, LifeSite News, because in the last few years, LifeSite News has always been a beacon of hope for traditional Catholics. Now, that's no longer the case. The guy in charge of LifeSite News, who many know, this gentleman here, Johnny Harry Western, has been kicked out because he's critical of Leo XIV. So the co-founder of the Pro-Life has been removed as CEO and editor-in-chief of the online news organization. For those who don't know it, LifeSite News is a Catholic, very followed Catholic site. And not only he has left the whole thing, but apparently also some of his journalists, Bishop Joseph Strickland used to also be a frequent contributor to LifeSite News. John Henry Western wrote on Twitter 3 days ago, thanking and praising God in the midst of hardship is the best remedy to a broken heart. Ave Maria. He took it like this. But this is about, and here Stephen Cox, who is another journalist, who is living the lifestyle, said, after 8 years of working a lifestyle, I'm forced to announce that as today, I'm actively seeking employment elsewhere. And they have been forced out by the fact that they don't, you see, this is why they are forced out.
Deluding themselves in the name of false prudence that they should treat
so
Leo
the media outlets have deluded themselves
in the name of a false prudence that they should treat Leo as if he is substantially different in his outlook than his heretical predecessors.
But that's not the case. And he's talking about the errors emanating from the impostor synodal church in Rome, which owes its symbolical origins to the coup d'etat carried out by the neo-modernist clergy of Vatican II, just what I've been writing in my books, including volume 12. So, you see, this is what's happening here. There is a mafia of people like Governor Newsom, for example, who is a product of the Jesuits, who came out of a Jesuit university, completely brainwashed and inspired by what the Jesuits are preaching. If you want to find, of course, aside from my books, also my latest articles, you can do it on leozagami.com. I try to update regularly this website with articles that, of course.
So you're like the only one now?
No, I hope not, but it's getting late,
like
because Church Militant, of course, because of the scandal involving the founder, came down. Then there is, of course, now Lifestyle News is no longer. Well, I think that Jules Gomez works for something called Stream. Maybe he's the only one who's doing something. But I mean, apart from me and him, who are actually friends and collaborate, it seems like at the moment the situation is very bad for those who oppose.
Why is that? Why is that?
I mean, because of course you have people like Jesuit Father James Martin and all those people who are pushing for a different kind of church, a church, they say, of inclusivity, where you have the illegal immigrants, where you want to embrace Muslims, so maybe we can do all together a kumbaya church of a one-world religion of sorts. This is what they're doing. And so, please, get this book, but also, 1 year after the attempted assassination of Donald J. Trump, today we are also in front of a very important event. When the show starts, we have that Nessun Dorma, people think it's Pavarotti. No, it's not just a normal version of Nessun Dorma, which is a very important opera track. Christopher Macchio, who is a classical tenor who Trump likes very much, went back with Trump, I think it was the beginning of October of last year, and they went back to Butler, Pennsylvania, and he sang Nessun Dorma. So the version you hear here in the opening of the show is Christopher Macchio singing Nessun Dorma at the Return Rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. He also sang it later at the Madison Square Garden rally. So it's very important because a lot of people ask me, every week, what is that track? Who is singing it? It's Christopher Macchio. And of course, Nessun Dorma is a very known opera. But for me, it was important when I started this MAGA Countercognitive initiative and podcast to have something special, something that really represented our movement.
Right.
And so I want to show you now what Donald J. Trump has said earlier about what happened a year ago, because a year ago things could have really gone the other way. We could have ended up with Kamala Harris. We could have ended up with a civil war. We could have ended up, I don't know. I mean, fate saved this man. He might not be perfect. He might
But
not
none
want
of
to
us
reveal.
are.
He might not want to reveal everything about Epstein for reasons that we still don't clearly know. But this is the Trump assassination anniversary, and he was saved to save this country.
You have children, you have a daughter, you have grandchildren. We're approaching 1 year from you having a very narrow escape from death. Do you think all of this in any way gives you a unique perspective on what's happening here and what people are experiencing here in Texas?
Well, I went through a lot. It was a crazy time, very surreal, actually. If you want to know the truth, I've got this massive crowd of people, and all of a sudden you hear and you feel something that's very unusual. And I got down quickly, and I was, people screaming, "Get down, get down." It was the whole thing was just crazy. And it's hard to believe a year is up. And here we are. A lot of things have happened since then, including the presidency. So, I have an obligation to do a good job, I feel, because I was really saved. I was really saved by somebody very special. People that are shooters, I'm not so much of a shooter, but people that were shooters say it's almost impossible that was a miss. I mean, it was a hit, but it was a miss. Although I do get that throbbing feeling every once in a while.
Is that right?
Yeah, a little bit. No, I owe a lot. And I hope the reason I was saved was to save our country. We had a country that was, I don't say dead because it's too strong, but we had a country that was really very close to being finished, in my opinion. And now we have the hottest country in the world. That's why I'm so saddened by this. But, it's one of those things, those tragic things that happen. But we had a country that was dead. It was dead. It was really in deep trouble. I was with world leaders, and they said, a year ago your country was dead, and now you have the hottest country in the world. And it sounds rough initially, but, the second part of that statement is true. We have the hottest stock market. We have financially, everyone's going to be in great shape. And we've done a good job. So maybe the reason that I'm here after Butler, maybe that was part of the reason. We've worked hard. We don't take big vacations. If we take 10 minutes off, it seems like a lot. I think we've accomplished a lot in a short period of time. But being here was very important.
Thank you very much, President Donald J. Trump, for working for us, for trying to make America great again. Not an easy job after what Joe Biden did for 4 years with that other demented fool of Kamala Harris. Recently, there was a guy from a podcast who said, actually, or a radio show, who said he didn't actually broadcast the show after interviewing Kamala Harris, and they mutually decided not to show it because it was so bad that he himself was afraid that showing that interview with Kamala Harris would prejudicate the election. Unfortunately, she lost anyway, because every time she opened her mouth, she was completely idiotic. She didn't have one brain cell. Now, the question is, of course, guys, I'm a great fan of Dan Bongino. Because I think Dan Bongino, during his career, has always demonstrated a lot of honesty. Well, instead, I have, of course, some problems with Pam Bondi, because I think that she is, of course, obeying orders. But why and what they are protecting this list that, of course, is an important list belonging to Jeffrey Epstein, who apparently had clients. But I mean, this list is not even that secret, guys, because in an unredacted version of his infamous black book with all the addresses, and me and Christy once had some fun a few years back when I called Prince Andrew.
And he answered.
And he answered, because these phone numbers, here you have all the phone numbers, including the phone numbers of people who are, of course, very influential, former prime ministers, Tony Blair, former prime ministers of many other countries, but also very important people. Now it's Dershowitz, Alan Dershowitz, who is in this black book, which I'm showing you in the unredacted version, which is no longer available, as the White House has published. Yes, it has notes that are also very important. it's Alan Dershowitz who is talking about the fact that there is a list, and he knows exactly who are the people and why Trump is protecting them. I mean, here you have Richard Branson, you have Tony Blair, you have the nephew of George Soros, you have very powerful people from the black nobility in Italy and in Europe. I've studied this list, guys, and I can tell you that definitely a lot of this list might upset a few people. There is members of the Trump family, including Ivanka. There is Trump himself, because he was a friend of Jeffrey Epstein. But the interesting thing of this unredacted list, which I have, is that at the end, you have actually also the list of they say the client list, no? Well, it's very easy to know who are the clients, guys. The visitor massage. No, yeah, but the masseuse for each visitor, there was a masseuse, somebody who did the massage. They had a private. It's written here, so you just call these masseuses. These are the people who did the massage, which was not a normal kind of massage. Jeffrey Epstein massage was one. How you say happy massage?
I don't know.
Happy ending. With a happy ending. With a happy ending.
Oh no!
Are all listed here. So visitors had them massage and the happy ending. You call one of these and you say, "Sorry, Amy. Sorry, Nina. What did you do? Who was there?" That is the list. And here, guys, you have everybody. You have even the email of Ghislaine Maxwell. You have, but then you have also things like Secret Service personnel escorting Mr. Barak, former PM of Israel, on Jeffrey Epstein plane. And then you have Jean-Luc Brunel, scout for young girls, who himself, like I explained in volume 8 of my Confessions, was found dead in his cell.
Oh my God.
Who they say suicided himself.
Oh my goodness.
So Jean-Luc Brunel, which you also find in the list inside, is also very important. But then you have David Cook from Palm Beach, witness, interacted and chat daily, underage girls. They have a passion for underage girls. Guys, this is enough. Here you have a lot of very powerful people. And among these powerful people, I found even representatives of the Knights of Malta to the Republic of Italy.
Dang.
Yeah, I was actually today during my Italian show showing the Italians the list in which you have a name of a guy who is still alive and kicking, and who is a famous guy in the business. He's called Ugo Branchetti, who appears on page 7. And you can check the.
So what happened to this list that you got? Like when you went and searched?
Well, then it was redacted. Now it's redacted, so it's not complete. But watch this. Ugo Branchetti, who was in the list, apart from being the head of API, which is the Italian petrol for the oil, is the council. Antica, old family and stuff. He's the council for representatives of the Order of Malta to the Italian Republic.
What a bunch of crooks. I'm telling you.
So there is a lot of stuff here. Whom from the black nobility? Plenty, guys, including this guy I just mentioned, Uno Branchetti Peretti. That's black nobility, but there is also William Astorforth, Vince Count Asco. There is many others from important families. I can show you. For example, briefly, because I don't have the possibility and the time to go through all of them, but I can show you some, as somebody is asking me for specific members of the black nobility, is fueled with them, and not only from Italy, but from all over. Apart from them, Bloomberg, Mike, Cuomo, you have Bloomberg, you have all kinds of people, but the Brandolini Dada. This is a very important family of the black nobility. Let me show you, guys. Brandolini Dada, very important family. Brandolini Dada is a key family of the black nobility. I can show you, if you don't believe me, we just go on Wikipedia and put Brandolini Dada, and I'm going to show you. The Bandolini Dada is an Italian noble family. Here it is, Cristiana Bandolini Dada. social. Now today they are of course socialites connected to the Agnelli family. I don't think, guys, that this list can ever be revealed because
You just revealed it.
Well, of course, but you say what? Brandolini Dadda, Conte di Valmareno, born Cristiano Agnelli. You're talking about the Agnelli family, guys. The owner of Fiat, the owner of Ferrari, the owner of
so billionaires.
We're talking about, of course, Eduardo Agnelli, industrialist, entrepreneur, but married they married with the black aristocracy. You see, the Countess Maria Sole, and then Fustenberg. And this is not the only ones, guys. I'm just mentioning one name. I went through the list. There is the most aristocratic and influential people, apart from, of course, Richard Branson, who is a pervert, who has his own island. Richard Branson, of course, is a pervert. But let me just remove this and go on Richard Branson so people can see there is a private thing of Richard Branson. Here, you see. And then there is also a very famous Italian businessman, Briatore, under Richard Branson. Briatore is very famous because he was the guy who did
a lot of pervs.
And then there is Naomi Campbell. Naomi Campbell is on the list with all her phone numbers, everything. This is the actual guy who was found dead in his cell. You see, the Karin models. He brought two twins, 13-year-old twins, to Jeffrey Epstein.
Oh my goodness! One of the models got really messed up in the face. I forget her name, but that really pretty one, that blonde.
I remember the one that went to Monte Carlo, was involved with. You see, Naomi Campbell Naomi.
I don't like her.
And then you have Casagrande Guido. Here talking about black nobility. Then you have the Cicogna Marina. You have all kinds of people, guys. I mean, it's
Phil Collins.
You have all kinds of people here. So Phil Collins is also Freemason, by the way, for those who don't know it. Del Bono Luca.
I keep looking for celebs.
Well, you have the celeb, but these are actually the owners of all the fashion industry if you go through them. And then you have
the Duke of York
and the Duchess of York.
Oh, you lovely. But now, like you said earlier, though, Trump was on this list. So some of these people could just be just contacts.
Yes, some could be contacts, and that's what Trump has actually said during that interview. If you reflect a second, during the presidential campaign, Trump was interviewed and he said, "Will you release the Epstein list?" And he said, "Yes, but I don't want to release something with people who are actually not really involved in
Because you see this list and you think everybody's guilty, and it's just not the case because it's a phone book.
Well, it's not only a phone book,
but it's also a phone book.
It's also a phone book. But I mean, the thing is that here you have even the numbers of Melania Trump. You have everything. But you have every aristocrat and socialite in the world here. So, and this is not the only list, guys. In the 1990s, there was a musician who, by pure chance, he was walking on the road, and he found, this is a quite incredible story. Jeffrey Epstein, little book, of course, now is redacted, but we're showing you the unredacted version. Then there was actually Alfredo Rodriguez who attempted to sell it to the lawyers representing the Epstein victims for $50,000, describing it as the Holy Grail, because as you can see, there is a lot of stuff. I mean, there is contains 1,571 names with around 5,000 phone numbers and addresses from Prince Andrew, Edward, Barack, we saw also even Trump. Then a musician called Dennis Ondiako, he was walking along a Manhattan sidewalk in the 1990s, and he found another booklet.
It's a girl, Denise.
Denise is a girl.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a girl. Denise Ondiako, I don't know, but she managed to then, in 2020, when she realized the importance of it, she put in on an auction. She wanted to get $200,000. In the end, she only got $100,000. I want to show you this auction of this black book. It wasn't the black book that we have seen, but it's a black book with additional names. Here, Jeffrey Epstein black book with 221 additional high-profile names is being sold to a secret bidder. They, you see, they hope to, it could fetch 200,000. In the end, instead, it only got 10,000.
10?
Yeah, it didn't really make. Amongst the famous names, you had some of the names we already saw, but then you have also additional names. By the way, you had also Cuomo in the other book, and the one we just saw, there was also Cuomo, and the father, of course, and also the former governor. So this is what is happening. We know that there is people who do crazy things in this world. And there is actually a story which I want to use to conclude today's show, which is apparently, guys, a very shocking story. It came out recently. A lot of people are talking about it. The daughter of the head of the police of Leone, New Jersey, she's saying that the father abused her and with others ritualistic abuse. She assisted to human sacrifices and other things.
gosh.
This is the girl who was interviewed. Courtney Tamai allegation against Leone Police Chief Scott Tamai, his neighbor Kevin Slavin, and others have strongly divided the small Bergen County borough. Some people believe in her, some others don't. Claims her father and Slavin erroneously abused her in her home alongside the ritualistic worshiper in the woods near their house. There were also tunnels. She was sexually assaulted in those woods. They used to play a game where this is the father, who is Calvin. Courtney also claims she suppressed memories of the abuse for years, a survival tactic. The doctor asked her if she had been sexually abused. And guys, it is a shocking story that is surfacing. And I have another article that talks about it. And the details, I mean, are incredible. I mean, when they were kids, they will let them out in the woods, and then the pedophiles will catch them and rape them. You see, abuse began in 2009. Games. Christy, please.
Oh, you're going to make me
Yes.
read it? She said the cult would ask them to play games that always ended with kids being assaulted. We would go into the woods and we would play games which were not games, she said, describing something supposedly called hunter and gatherers. In this, she claimed 10 kids were released into the woods and allowed to hide, and then cult members would allegedly chase them down, incapacitate them, and assault them. They made it as if it was a game and you could win, she claimed on the show. You weren't going to win. You were always going to be hit. They just wanted you to look terrified and run, she added.
So this is really, I mean, quite shocking, the allegations she's making. We hope that this is not true, but actually they are now backed by the wife of the guy who is filing for divorce. So the mother is backing the daughter in this case. Well, guys, I mean, what can I say? We are living... some people say I don't believe it, too many similar stories. Well, guys, we hope that, of course, but the fact that the mother is backing it, the fact that we're talking here about the head of a police force, you are the daughter of the head of a police force, you don't really do, make these outstanding claims. I mean, she talks about the animals being burned, human sacrifices, all kinds of crazy stuff. That's, of course, it could be just the stuff of fantasy, but it's pretty brutal. What is your take on that, Casey, on this? The fact
It
that
doesn't surprise me, Roy. It just doesn't surprise
I mean,
me. It's the end times. What do you want?
It seems like this is a secret satanic child sex cult operating out of Riverdale, New Jersey, but definitely there is credible accusations made in other parts of the United States. And these kind of situations, of course, are truly sick and at times can also seem unbelievable. Now, we opened the show, of course, with Nessun Dorma from Giacomo Puccini's opera Turandot, which was sung during the return of Trump in Butler, Pennsylvania. Now we will say bye-bye to you with our classic track, which we use from the author. Also, guys, by the way, when it comes to what happened in Battle of Pennsylvania, remember volume 11, The Past, Present, and Future of Mind Control, from Sun Tzu to MK Ultra and Beyond, which is a book which really explains things that still haven't been cleared, because we still, after 1 year, we don't really know about Thomas Crooks. Mm-hmm. And the father only appeared 2 times on TV. And there is also some very, Crooks, the brainwashed would-be assassins who would be of Trump, Fortunately, he didn't make it. And today, Thomas Crooks was conveniently cremated on the 23rd of July of last year. And the whole thing, the attempted assassination of Donald J. Trump, took place while they were doing the cremation of care in the Bohemian Grove, headed by
cremation of care.
Yes, headed by the husband of Nancy Pelosi. So, if you want to know more, volume 11 of my confessions, and we will see you next week. Who were the sponsors, Christy?
Malgarizad and Minta and Daniel Estes, and everybody that bought the book this week.
Thank you so much, guys. Remember that we need more sponsors for an extra show during the week. At the moment, we are only bringing you 1 show a week because that's what the sponsorship permits us. And unfortunately, during the summer, we have extra expenses with air conditioning because the temperatures are really absurd, and we end up spending $600 to $700 each month only for air conditioning. So imagine that, because of the air conditioning. Take care, guys. We see you next week. If we get extra sponsors, we will also do an extra show. And God bless America.
In that time, our world has taken so many steps in the wrong direction.
And the cookbook,
In the negative.
The cookbook, the Zagami family cookbook for something special and transformation of your kitchen in a 5-star Italian restaurant. Get it on Amazon, the Zagami family cookbook. Today we made pizza, and it was a great pizza. We have the leftovers now, Christian.
Yeah.
Okay.
technology, social organization,